All right, so quite a card we had tonight. We had a hell of a fight right before the main headline.
Yeah.
And watching Joe Warren return tonight. What were your thoughts tonight?
I thought the heavyweight fight was awesome. I mean, the heavyweight fight is everything you're looking for. You know, you had two big heavyweights, 6'7", throwing for the fences and bringing the fight. I mean, that's all you can ask for. I talk to the guys on Thursdays when we get done with the weigh-ins, and I say, bring the fight. And those guys brought the fight. Volkov looked great. Vinicius looked spectacular. I mean, that's what you want to see out of the heavyweight division. And then the fight before it, Bagny's fight against Rad was a great fight as well. And Joe got back in the win column. You know, I mean, he didn't use all of his tools, but he used what he was comfortable with to kind of get his feet back under him. So it was good to see Joe back in and with a W. So, you know, I thought it was a good night. I thought we had a couple of really great fights, and we got Joe back, and he got a good win. So all in all, I thought it was a good night.
And what's been going on? I mean, this is probably the biggest thing going on. We got Spike TV coming up. It's only, what is it, a month or two away?
2 months, brother.
And what are some of these plans that are going to be working out with it? I mean, you guys got a show kind of been tight-lipped. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. What can we expect?
25 live events next year on Spike, live fighting events, tournament-based, and then the reality show, and we're going to start filming it probably sometime in the first quarter of 2013. And you know, the reality show is going to be really tied into who we are. It's going to be competition based. You know, nobody's going to get voted back on the island. It's not going to be your classic kind of reality format. It's going to be a lot of what we're about. And the guy who's producing it, Bertram Van Munster, who does The Amazing Race and has won like 13 Emmy Awards, when you watch The Amazing Race, it's like you're watching a documentary, but it's a competitive documentary. And that's kind of what he's going to bring to the Bellator show. So, and I have high hopes. I mean, we're going to have to see how it all unfolds and produces, but I've got really high hopes for it. We got great people doing it. So, it you know, knock on wood, it should be really good.
So it's definitely going to be more personable. It's not going to be just the entertainment aspect. I mean, you're really going to get to know these fighters.
Yeah, and look, the cornerstone and the fuel to a show like this is great fighters. Because if the fighters aren't great, no matter how great their personalities or what kind of wacky things they do, you're not going to connect to them. And Sam Kaplan and Zach Light and our talent development team have done an amazing job recruiting fighters for this show. I mean, when you see the talent on this show, people are going to go, wow, that is a legitimate group of fighters. Like, I would assume, based on who we've already got signed, that when we come out of this, 4 or 5 guys are going to come out of the show and really establish themselves in Bellator. So, you know, I mean, I have high hopes.
Do you see anything with the format, with the tournament style? I mean, your roster is obviously going to take on a huge expansion having this show.
Right.
Are you going to end up alternating the format for Bellator? Because, I mean, that's exclusively what you guys are.
Sure. Well, the reality show will be different than the tournament. So the reality show won't track your typical 3-fight tournament. It'll have its own specific format, and it'll be fighters, you know, whereas you look at our 45 division or 55 or 70, you got all these, you know, you got top 10 ranked guys and guys like Curran, number 2 in the world, and all these different guys. Those won't be the guys you'll see in the reality show. You'll see guys that are coming up who are the next wave of those guys competing in the reality show. So it'll be a different format, but it'll have the same kind of essence. It'll be, you know, you'll lose, you'll go home, you win, you'll move on.
So how do you decide stuff as far as coaches, or it's not one of those that the coaches fight at the end of the show type of thing like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's different from what we've all become used to watching Tough, that launched on Spike in 2005. But it will have a unique twist to it. I can't give you all the info, but it'll have a unique twist to it that I think as a fan will resonate.
How long is the season's going to run for? About like how many episodes can we expect to see?
10. 10
it's
episode
a 10
run.
episode?
Yeah, 10 episode run.
And a lot of fighters?
A lot of fighters, a lot of fights.
And a lot of newbies, too. A lot of people that we haven't seen just yet.
Yeah, and some that you have. Some that have gotten off the ground with Bellator and have had some success, and some guys that you have never seen before, but this is their first real, kind of exposure on the big stage.
How excited were you seeing, Joe Warren returning? It's been a kind of a long layoff of things, seeing him back in the cage tonight.
I was excited seeing Joe. I mean, I'm personal friends with Joe. I want him to do well. Owen, I'm rooting for him as well. But I mean, to see Joe back in, to get a W, hard-fought win, relying on what made Joe Joe, takedowns and wrestling. It was good to see him get a win. I was happy for him.
Do you think this is the right weight class for him?
Oh, yeah, I think 35 is the right weight class for him. I mean, he's too old to cut to 25, and 35 is, he walks around at 43, 44. It's not a big cut, but it's where he should be. He shouldn't be fighting at 45. I mean, we got guys like Daniel Strauss at 45 who walk around at 90.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean,
That's
85. And I mean, Strauss is a monster. Curran's a monster. Those guys are Pitbull as big as a house. You know, Warren is a much smaller human being than those guys. So this is the right weight class for him.
And with the Bellator tryouts are going around right here in South Florida, is this stuff tying into the show, or is this for a tournament, or what are these tryouts?
Legitimate tryout for the reality show. We've got a lot of the positions filled, and we've still got some open, and we're just trying to find that diamond in the rough. Down here in South Florida, we may find one guy, maybe two, maybe none, but we're going to look and see. This is a hotbed of great MMA, so we'll see what we find tomorrow.
And just kind of wrapping it up, what else can we expect from Bellator? I mean, you guys always seem to be like coming out with one new thing to the next. It's not like you just sit back and wait. I mean, there's always something coming up.
Yeah, well, you're going to see a lot of changes in the show when we get to Spike. Not the format of the show, but changes in the show in terms of how it looks, graphics packages, sound, feature pieces, the backfill production that kind of tells the stories of the fighters. Nobody on the team ever stops. I mean, it's not like a football season. I worked in the NFL for a couple of years, and it's not like we don't have that period where you go, okay, that's the last game, and everybody claps their hands and go, cool, we'll see you in 3 months. It never stops. So I was writing down notes tonight when I was watching the show about things I want to change and alter. I was sending text messages to people going, hey, could we do this? Is there any way to make that happen? It's just, you got to constantly evolve in this game. It's so new, you've always got to try to figure out what the next cool thing is. We had 5 new cameras working tonight in the show that we've never used before, and they captured some images that were just unbelievable. And I'm watching them on the monitor going, God, I'm glad we made those purchases. So it's always an evolution.
Well, hey, looking forward to the future. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Sure.